A trip to the hair salon backfiring. Footage obtained by FoxNews.com shows House Speaker Nancy Pelosi getting her hair done, not wearing a mask, inside a San Francisco salon despite local rules ordering them to be closed. The salon's owner blasting Pelosi, saying it's a slap in the face that she can break rules while others are restricted. Pelosi's office saying in a statement the speaker always wears a mask and complies with local COVID requirements. This business offered for the speaker to come in on Monday and told her they were allowed by the city to have one customer at a time in the business. The speaker complied with the rules as presented to her by this establishment. Joining me now, the Federalist senior editor, Chris Bedford. Chris, rules for thee, not for me.
I mean, this is a classic example, and she's already being defended on this. But if you look at just a day before on another cable station, Pelosi was saying that those people who don't wear masks, who don't follow rules, are bad people that want to hurt their neighbors. She's been vociferous on this. She said Donald Trump was destroying science or slapping science for not following all the mask protocols that she herself doesn't follow when she doesn't think she's on camera. But it's been wild to see some of the responses we've gotten. We know that a lot of the press corps worships Nancy Pelosi, thinks that she's an absolute hero. The head of one of the heads of Politico of California was tweeting that this might be illegal for the salon owner to leak this footage. So the problem there is not even with Pelosi, but with the salon owner for leaking the footage to Fox News. That's pretty insane for a reporter.
That was kind of one of the highlights of the night for me on social media. But is that one of the reasons that the moralizing from the Democratic leadership about not just President Trump, but all Republicans, really, they're just deplorables clinging to their guns and their Bibles, that's why that moralizing doesn't work?
It's been wild to see the complete memory lapse that we've experienced here. Remember that 1 month period right after November 2016 when Democrats said, wow, we shouldn't have called people deplorable. Maybe there's something that we're missing. Maybe there's a whole working class that's been forgotten out there. How quickly was that forgotten? They're running the exact same playbook right now, which is call people racist, attack Trump supporters, villainize anyone who stands against them as their god of science or whatever, this or that, and now even possibly losing some of the Rust Belt that Joe Biden really needs to win back in order to win the presidency. It looks like a 2016 repeat.
But I don't think that Democrats understand why people see a Nancy Pelosi in a hair salon when hair salons in San Francisco are closed, or sees or has to listen to a Governor Cuomo, who tweets, wear your mask, but then gets caught outside in a photograph not wearing a mask, or blames his order killed thousands of elderly people in nursing homes. But when you get upset about elderly people dying because of his hand, then that's a political issue. These are business people. Look at Nancy Pelosi and get upset because their businesses are shut down and their livelihoods have been destroyed by these onerous orders. But she circumvents it and then wants to moralize about it.
And now I know a bunch of the hairdressers who've been shut down in this city, how difficult it's been for them to try and get by and make a living. This salon owner has said that freelancers who rent her chairs are allowed to go in there one at a time and do business like they did. They're supposed to follow the rules. Doesn't appear that the speaker did here. And she is angry. She's a single mother with 2 children. She's struggling to support them, and people like Gavin Newsom are holding her down. Now, I was just out in California, and I've been to a couple places that are locked down. And it is surprising so far to see the complete disconnect between the regulations that are destroying people's lives and businesses and the politicians that are enforcing them. Those people who live in California and other states should travel around just a little bit outside of their state and realize that life is returning to normal in a large swath of the United States. They don't have to live like this, and it's their leaders that are doing this to them.
Well, let's talk about Massachusetts. The Senate primary, incumbent Democratic Senator Ed Markey beat challenger Congressman Joe Kennedy. This is the first time ever a member of the Kennedy family lost a race in the state of Massachusetts. Kennedy was backed by none other than House Speaker Nancy Pelosi, and Congresswoman Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez was backing Markey. The president weighing in on Twitter earlier this morning, see, even a Kennedy isn't safe in the new radical left Democrat Party. Taxes up big, no Second Amendment. Biden has completely lost control. Pelosi strongly backed the loser. Chris, what do you make of this? Is it more of a Kennedy issue, or is it an issue for the party itself?
Yeah, this is my home state, so I was paying a little attention to this, and it was interesting. I don't read it as far as a issue for the party itself. I think that Kennedy misread the situation and may have been right to do so. A year ago, he looked like a popular person to knock out Markey. The problem for him is that the Senate incumbent he was challenging is very popular with the left. He's an original endorser of Medicaid for all. He's a big backer of the Green New Deal. This guy has his left-wing credentials, as to other Massachusetts Democrats, largely, at least on the federal level, has his left-wing credentials completely intact. When you have Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, the face of the young, allegedly, coming down and filming ads from Markey against Kennedy, well, that's going to undercut him. And I'm wondering to see what the future holds for him, because he was supposed to run for governor, and he declined that, saying he wanted to stay in the House of Representatives 2 years ago. I'm wondering what's next for young Mr. Kennedy.
And by the way, in that ad, in Worcester, he misspelled Worcester, right? It was a newspaper ad.
No, was it?
You didn't see that?
I can spell
Kennedy
it, but it's a tough one.
Worcester. He misspelled Worcester. They
pronounce it Worcester.
Worcester. I know. I was married to somebody from Worcester. I digress.